if the idea behind the current peace discussions is that we will purchase peace by having the promise of an Israeli withdrawal to effectively the 67 lines and a repartitioning of Jerusalem and the handing over the Temple Mount to some international authority, if people think this will be the end of conflict, it will be the escalation of conflict to levels we don't even imagine today. I want to make that clear that any territory that we vacate today or promise to vacate falls right into the hands of the Islamic militants. I don't believe that it helps in any way strengthen the Palestinian Authority. I think it does the exact opposite. It does the exact opposite because once Israel says we're leaving, now the only question is how soon? How can, because we know who will inherit the territory, and it's not Abbas, it's Hamas. So the only question is how fast can we make Israel leave, and that's wind in the terrorist sails. It just tells them, push harder. Israel has already said it will leave. And if you actually leave, you give it to them. You give them the keys to the heights above Tel Aviv and the neighborhoods of Jerusalem. And let me tell you what will happen in Jerusalem. We have, I think, the most explosive square kilometer in the world in the Temple Mount. We have the holy places of Judaism, the Western Wall, of Christianity, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and of course of Islam in the form of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. I want you to know that the only money that I made as a politician was that I wrote books when I was in office. I wrote books, and in the early 90s, my second son was born, and we needed some income, so I wrote a book. I believed in what I was writing, but I had a special impetus to write it. Two of them, really. One was to get the advance, and the second one was to warn of the impending danger that Islamic militants would bring down the World Trade Center, page 193. Now, I must tell you, the response to that was no response at all. Didn't make a dent. It was reissued after September 11th and sold a little better. Now, why did I write that? Why did I say that this is what would be their preferred target? Because if you had to choose the symbol of the West financial power, well, where would that be? Well, I said it would be in Wall Street. And if it was in Wall Street, what would it be? If you had to choose one building to symbolize that, well, I chose two. Now, if I asked you, if they wanted to hit the symbol of the West military power, choose one building, class. All right? Now, if I asked you if they had to choose one place to hit at the spiritual center of Judeo-Christianity, where do you think they'll go? They'll go to the Temple Mount. They've got there plenty of opportunities, I just mentioned. We leave, they come in. Jerusalem will become a magnet for all the world's terrorists, for Al-Qaeda, for Hamas, for Islamic Jihad, for Iran, you name it. And what do you think they'll do? You think they'll make peace there? Remember what they did with the Taliban did with the Buddhas? That's a premonition. Peace, it's not going to be the end of conflict, it's going to be the beginning of a conflict we cannot even imagine, and encompassing dimensions and portions of humanity that we cannot even imagine today. So this is ill-guided and ill-conceived. For whatever reason it's being done, it's going to produce the wrong results. And I need not tell you what Jerusalem means to us. We know what it means to us, and we know that this is a city that we have yearned for and prayed for so long, for so many generations, certainly not to hand it over to militant Islam. The only time that we've had the freedom of worship of the three faiths, the security is under Israel's sovereignty as a united city. It's the only time. Since the rise of the three monotheistic faiths, the only time in this very long history, which we're talking about, is about 1,400 years, 1,500 years, the only time that all three faiths have been able to worship freely and safely in an unfettered way has been in the 40 years since the reuniting of Jerusalem under Israel. And I have to say that There's a saying in American English, and it's a good one, an appropriate one. It ain't broke, don't fix it. It ain't broke. Every Friday, thousands of Muslims pray on the Mount, sometimes tens of thousands, sometimes even more, pray on the Temple Mount. It all goes smoothly. Why does it go smoothly? Who keeps the peace? Israel. Israeli police, Israeli security, Israeli army if necessary. We keep the peace. It ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think that this is the guiding principles that we need to enable any kind of ultimate resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I would say its defensible borders and a united Jerusalem. You want to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, then pray for the unity of Jerusalem. It's the same thing. And if you want to prevent the kind of repetition of attacks that we've had in the Second Lebanon War and elsewhere, make sure that Israel has the defensible borders that it needs.